covering all 4 major sports in the District of Champions. It's the DC Crossover Podcast with your hosts, Mike Cerrone and Ben Simpson.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the DC Crossover, episode 151. I'm your host, Ben Simpson, along with me, Mike Cerrone, here together for another episode of the show. You can follow the show on all social media at the DC Crossover and at Cerrone16 and on the Talk DC Crossover podcast. A lot going on, a lot of non-sports stuff on the show today, of course, as we, I don't know when we'll officially title it the off season. I think maybe once we hit Memorial Day weekend, then it's like, all right, now then that's the off season at that point. But we will not be talking a ton of sports here. We may get into the Commanders draft a little bit, obviously. That's the biggest. If we feel like it. If we feel like it. I mean, that's the biggest thing going on in DC sports right now, of course. I mean, is the NFL draft. And in sports in general, really. The NFL draft, of course, drawing a ton of attention. The Nats are as bad as ever. They did actually pull out a win today, it looks like, or maybe the game hasn't ended yet, but I know they were definitely winning. Very close, yeah. But they had been getting blown out by Pittsburgh historically, it seems like, every single game here this series. So we're not going to waste our time talking about how bad the Nats are. Instead, we got some other stuff to get to, as Mike and I didn't do an episode last week, so we're back this week. This is kind of what the schedule's like when it's not the NFL season. We bounce up.
By the way, it was funny, though, because literally as I was recording an episode last week, during the middle of the episode, I just, and the bad part is, you know how I am. I laugh at a lot of things. Sure. I try to laugh at myself a lot. And trying to come up with topics where I knew they were topics that I needed to run by you because I knew you would, have a witty comeback or something like that nature. It's a dialogue rather than a monologue.
Yeah, right.
So I'm sitting there and I'm talking and I'm literally sitting there and in my head I'm just like, this blows. I was like, this just sucks. And I texted you and I was like, dude, like, just put this on YouTube or something like that. And I honestly didn't even cut any clips from it because I didn't have any time, but also for the sole fact I was like, man, this episode just really blows.
It's tough. I mean, definitely, like, I can't even imagine doing a show by yourself, like, for 4 or 5 hours every day of the week. Because it's like, all right, it's one thing. Mike and I have both done some decent solo shows here on the podcast. And every now and then, like, you knock out a nice, like, 20, 30 minutes or whatever. But trying to do, like, a long show, especially if you got nothing going on right now with baseball season. I don't know how anybody does it. There's a guy that does. So I listen to. There's this Locked In Sports Network, it's called, and like every team has a podcast. And I listen always to like the Nats, and I listen to like the Tigers one, and basically it's a podcast that drops every day of the week during the week, and it's one guy does it, like for the ones I listen to. So it's like a guy doing a solo show. But all he's doing is talking about the game that happened the night before. So it's not like, I mean, you can fill that time, but trying to like fill it with like just like stories and anecdotes, that's not going to happen.
I mean, it was just one of those situations where I had a lot of content for us, but then the problem was that it wasn't us. It was just me.
Right.
And I thought I could, just put some content out there, and I was like, in the middle of it, I was about to say, just throw my hands up in the air and say, this blows. This sucks.
Just walk out of your own house.
Yeah. But like you said, it's one of those times a year where we're going to say it every single week that it's just simply not good enough to talk about sports. But overall, if you're looking at the sports landscape, I haven't looked at the final, but I'm pretty sure the Defenders are headed to the XFL Championship.
I was watching some of that game. That was actually one of the rare times I watched that Mickey Mouse Football League over there, the XFL. I know everybody, you guys are into it. I can't get into it. It's fake football to me. I know it's not. I know it's not, and I know like the Commanders the Defenders fan base is strong. I know they're getting great attendance. Look, like I'm not saying I'm right here. I'm just saying like I can't take it seriously. To me, it's Arena League football all over again. Like it's not. I can't take it. It's not real. There's nothing real to me except for the NFL and college football, obviously. Okay. I can't take it seriously. The people, like, I got people tweeting, like, this is the biggest football game in DC history, and it's like, it's not real.
That's a little much.
This league's not going to be in existence 5 years from now. It's not. None of this is going to be happening. I'm telling you, 5 years from now, it's not going to be in existence. It's going to be kaput. It's going to be gone. Poof. So enjoy this little championship in quotes, because it's not real.
Raising the banner.
I'm just telling you, it's not real. And I may be wrong. Again, there's plenty of people that like it and are having fun. And I'm like, I can't watch this. It's like spring training. I can't watch a spring training game, because the only thing that matters in football world is NFL. Everything else is just
true.
It's Mickey Mouse League.
I can't say no to that. The biggest thing for me is that it's something else to
I get it. I get why you would enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. For me, I can't watch it. It's
Well, you know what the funny thing is though, is that earlier today I was trying to find on DraftKings the XFL. I mean, I guess you could say the category.
Right.
I couldn't find it on there. I don't know why. It's just like literally 2 hours before pregame, so I couldn't find it on there. I was like, all right, I want.
I mean, they give out like live lines like during the games and stuff. Like they're very like betting friendly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't get it, so I couldn't find it on there, which is very odd. And that's the funny thing is, I was in DC for the last day and a half or so, and I knew that the weather sucked. I knew that it was going to be rainy and stuff like that, and the over/under being at 49 was horrendous. I don't know why the books put it all the way up there, but I was like, all right, I can easily go under, and I can do the straight up money line of the Defenders, because they already beat the Sea Dragons twice, so now it's the third game. But of course, I don't know, dude. I was happier earlier today, and now I'm just inside. My blood is boiling, but I'm trying to put on a good face. I mean, the Kings. I just got another update.
For the bet. Yeah, for the bet.
The Kings just got blown out by 20 when they were up at halftime. Steph Curry freaking drops 50 on them at home.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the freaking I'm more pissed because the Rays just let 7 runs in the freaking ninth inning. And I'm just, oh my God.
Steph Curry, 50-point masterpiece marks NBA record in a game 7 as they beat the Kings. That kind of sucks, because like I liked the Warriors when they had their first run, because it was like I'm a big Draymond guy, and it was really fun. And obviously like they were going against LeBron at the time, like it seemed like every year, so it was like I'm gonna root for the Warriors. Now I'm kind of sick of them at this point, and so like the Kings were kind of a fun alternative. I mean, the team hadn't been to the playoffs in like 20 something years. They finally got in. They got a nice little kind of cast of misfits, and then now they're out. It kind of sucks. I did like this to see the Heat beat the Knicks today though, because I can't stand any New York team.
Well,
it makes me happy when Knicks fans are unhappy.
It would also been nice because I believe the Kings coach is Mike Brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Mike Brown would have been going up against LeBron, which would have been a really cool, little situation there.
The Cleveland reunion.
Yeah, seriously. And I mean, that's just, and I don't know. I'm just pissed off, man.
Mike's got a lot of bets going that's just not working out for him today.
I'm telling you, dude,
all right.
I've had, and I've been starting to dabble a little bit into the same game parlay X a little bit, because they have a lot of those boosts on there now. But the biggest thing for me is that it's just irritating when you sit there and you're like, all right, 2 hit. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Then all of a sudden I have one bet, like the Nuggets, who are the number 1 seed, all of a sudden just getting crushed in game 5 or whatever it was to close it out. I was against the T-Wolves, and I'm like, this I was about to cuss again.
Right.
One of these days, we're just gonna put that child friendly or whatever the hell, the parent friendly or PG on the podcast thing. I forgot what it says on there.
Parental advisory or warning or whatever.
I'm gonna get one of those things that they had on like Ice Cube's album that says explicit.
Right.
Slap it right on the on there, because I just need to.
I know. I feel like this summer we'll do like an explicit episode just for kicks.
Once a month.
Well, I will say, speaking of betting, an update on our long-term bet on those 5 teams that that have to get 60 or more wins. I'll go through them. So the Tigers right now, 10 wins. They're 10-17. They just need 50 more wins, Mike. I think they're going to be in good shape to cross that. Right. And then the Pirates, we know, are in great shape to pass that. I mean, they were already at 20 wins.
Lead the division.
Like, they're going to definitely get there. The Reds are at 12. I mean, they're ahead of the Tigers. I mean, the Reds should get there. I feel like the Royals might be trouble for us. Let's see. The Royals are only at 7 wins right now. They're 7-22. That might be some trouble. And then the Rockies are 9-20. So not great. So right now, the Pirates are definitely going to get there. Tigers will probably get there, and then Rockies, Reds, and Royals. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, they really, if you think about it, it's like they just need 50 more wins. Keep in mind they have like 140 more games, so it's like that should be able to happen in theory. Also, checking out the standings, one thing I'd love to see is the Yankees are in last place in the AL East. That is always a welcome sight. Because the Rays obviously killing it, except for Mike today, and then the Orioles. I mean, the Orioles have been red hot, 19-9 right now, 8-2 in their last 10. So, I mean, look, baseball's been fun to watch. I've been tuning in to almost every single Nats game, even despite them being just god awful. I mean, they're not the worst team in the league. They're not the A's, but it still's been pretty rough to say the least. I mean, God, 5 wins for the A's. That is sad. 5-23. That is insane.
Well, I mean, I should go start betting on them. Then all of a sudden they'd be scoring. They're like freaking Moneyball.
I mean, the A's might
be the TV.
That might not be a bad one to look at and just take them plus money one night, and then because they're not going to win many, but I bet they're going to be plus money quite often because they're so bad. So.
See, I wonder what you could win. Now, obviously, if they keep losing, then obviously you're going to be down the hole. But if you sit there and put $10 on them every single day for the next 2 months, do you think that you could come out positive? Because that would be a huge upside. Say they win like 6 in a row, you're like, damn, man.
Well, because look, like even the worst teams in the league win every now and then. I mean, they're not going to only win. They're not going to go 5-167 or 157. Like, they're going to win some games. They may only win like 50, but they're going to win. So, it's not a bad idea to look at because that plus money is going to be there pretty much every single night for them, and they got to win every now and then.
Well, what's funny too is that today, we got back from DC and Jess took a nap, and I'm sitting there watching the Defenders game. And I started flipping back and forth between that and the Kings game. And the biggest thing is that when I was looking and watching them, all of a sudden she came out, after taking a nap, and she was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Defenders are up, whatever." She was kind of asking the score. And then all of a sudden she said, "Yeah, my dad texted me asking to see if you could tell me a bet to give him for the Pirates-Nats game." And I was like, because he starts to ask me now.
Right.
And the best part about it is I was going to go off for the Nats because I figured, now I didn't see the line, but I figured that with Josiah Gray on the mound,
right,
they would possibly be favored.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would go possibly, I mean, obviously the game already started at that point or whatever.
Right.
So it didn't really matter. It was in like the 3rd inning at that time. But I was like, Josiah Gray has been literally on fire pretty much for the most part for the last 4 games. I mean, I think it's 4 earned runs in his last 4 games.
Yeah, Gray and Gore are like the 2 best pitchers on the team by far right now.
Right. So that's why I was like, hey, I would go for the Nats. Now, I didn't put a bet in. Obviously, I was driving before the game started and all that kind of stuff, and I went to brunch and all that kind of good stuff. But at the same time,
Sunday brunch.
Brunch was great.
Yeah, brunch is always great. I'm not making fun of him. Brunch is like my favorite meal in the world. So.
Oh, is it?
I mean,
favorite meal time?
I'm a big breakfast food guy.
Oh, me too.
So like the fact that you can mix breakfast with some like alcohol, like with some mimosas and stuff, it's like it's the best of both worlds.
Oh, dude, best story here. So I'm sitting there, and I'm not a big French toast guy. I'm not a big French toast guy. This is just how I am. So I'm looking at this guy, and I say, "Hey, do you have any other options?" Well, first of all, he comments on my hat and then starts trying to tell me this long story of him at the parade for the Nats, and I'm like, sweet, that's awesome.
You and a million other people that were at the parade. So
he's sitting there. He's like, oh yeah. Then like Grant and Danny were talking about. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like I don't believe you were sitting there talking to Grant Paulson, and then you spilled coffee on your shirt. Like he had this whole story. It was stupid. So all of a sudden, like I said, I'm not a big French toast guy. Even though their French toast was really good because it was a different kind of bread. But at the same time, I'm not a big French toast. I just don't like that. I want like a biscuit or something better.
Sure.
So I say, hey. Me and Jess weren't really feeling that. So I said, hey, do you have any other options for bread? Like, do you have a biscuit or do you have something else like that? And he was like, well, we used to carry a biscuit. I don't know if we still do. And he's sitting there like thinking because it was we were sitting kind of near the computer. So, and it was kind of empty at Matchbox. So, and I'm definitely going to say the name of it because then you can go see the bartender because that guy was a freaking weirdo. But anyways, he's sitting there and he's like, I think we used to have a biscuit here. And he's sitting there thinking for like 5 seconds, and I was like, "Well,
It's like this should not.
well, do you? Like,
It should not take this long. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to either look it up or be like, yeah, we don't have. Also, it's like you're a place that serves breakfast. I think pretty sure you have something. You have a biscuit. Like, I
Right.
mean, how hard is it?
Right. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all right, well, I mean, do you have it? And he just kind of like looked at me again. I mean, staring contest like the hibachi restaurant, or not the hibachi, the Korean barbecue guy.
Right.
And we're staring at each other again. And then I'm like, all right, well, I guess just keep the same thing. He's like, so you want a side of French toast? I was like, first of all, no, it comes with French toast. I don't want you to bring like a whole loaf of bread over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
On
He
a
wants
plate.
you to make the French toast yourself for sure.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, okay, like this guy is gonna bring me and charge me all this money. And all of a sudden, he looked at me and said something like about the side, and I said, no, we're good. And I looked at Jess and I said, you just start ordering. Like this guy's gonna keep asking me stuff. So then she asked, can I have regular toast and not French? So she didn't want the batter or whatever.
Right.
So she was like, can I just have regular toast? And the guy's like, so French toast?
Oh,
and
my God.
and all of a sudden, she was like, I guess so. And I'm like, this guy has no idea what the hell he's doing.
I mean, you stick a piece of bread in a toaster. Like, that's toast. Like, that's what she wants. How hard is it?
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
And Matchbox can't get in a worse location over there in Reston. I mean, literally, you have to park in the garage, go up the elevator, walk all the way across the damn complex, and then all of a sudden you get to the restaurant, and there's no one.
No.
I mean, it's terrible.
No, Reston is a nightmare nowadays. It really is. Like, Reston, it's just like you can't park anywhere, or you got to pay for parking, or do this and that, and it's like, no, it's a nightmare over there. But no, I mean, breakfast food. I mean, breakfast. I'm a big breakfast food guy. I mean, I love almost everything that would be on a breakfast food menu. Yeah, scrap. Yeah, and I like French toast. I'm a big French toast guy. Actually, I like French toast. I like waffles, especially chicken and waffles. Love pancakes. I mean, it's hard to find a breakfast food. You know what I don't like with breakfast is when they try to get too much fruit in the mix.
Oh,
that's the problem. When they're like, "Oh, do you want strawberry pancakes with like extra strawberries?" It's like, no.
Yeah.
No, if I'm eating, no, I want the real
Extra
deal.
chocolate.
God, chocolate pancakes, double chocolate pancakes. The greatest place on earth is IHOP because the food is like it's like $5 for like so much food they give you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And like your bill.
You want 7 sausage links?
Yeah. For 2 cents, like you can go in as a family and go to IHOP and like they pay you. Like they're like. You end up coming out in the plus. You're like, how did this even happen?
Yeah, you're like the couponer guy.
IHOP is the best. Like the food itself, it's like it's not amazing, but it's also not bad. It's like standard breakfast food. Like it's not gonna blow you away, but at the same time, like it's good enough and it's cheap and it's fast. Like they bring out your food like 2 seconds after you order.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable how fast they are. Like literally, you can order the entire menu and they're like. And then all of a sudden, it's there.
It's there. Yeah. No, they were making it when you walked in the door. They had like facial recognition software. They're like, this guy wants French toast. And then this guy doesn't want French toast. He wants American toast. Like they have it all ready to go. No,
is it called American toast?
No, I mean, that's what you said. Jess called it American toast.
No, she didn't call it American toast. She called it regular toast.
Regular toast.
Just toast, not the French.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be American toast because I'm sure they have toast like that in other countries. I mean, the British eat beans on toast. They literally
toast to me is just so nubs because you sit there and you take a bite of it and it just like goes everywhere.
I mean, you got to put on like I like toast. You get a good smothering of butter and like grape jelly, and then like I can you get that with some scrambled eggs. That's a great meal right there. Some buttered and jellied French toast with or not French toast, cheese, regular toast, American toast with with some scrambled eggs, and like that's a solid meal.
Well, you know what? In our new studio here, when you move.
I'm sure I'm gonna have room for a new studio.
What we should do is have a flat top and just sit there and start cooking breakfast foods while we're talking.
That would be great. No, we will have.
Episode.
I'm excited about the new kitchen. We will have like a little island, and which we don't have right now. We have just like regular counters and stuff. But no, trust me. I wish we could set up a studio. Everything in this house, like it's so freaking expensive. Like you can't buy anything in this area with like any space. By the time I put in a TV down there, maybe 2. I'm thinking about doing a 2-mounted setup.
That would be nice. Kind of like how I had it.
Exactly, side by side, 2-mounted. That's That's been in the discussion right now. It's like it's we're gonna have to see the space once we like sign the papers. I think. And once we get that and like a treadmill and like I get a desk down there, it's like I'm gonna run out of space, man. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Oh man, life sucks.
Yeah. Everything's too freaking expensive. We should be moving to West Virginia. We could buy a palace. But anyways, what else we have on the docket today? I know there was a few things you wanted to get to.
So there is a new list out there that was just a little over a month ago, but obviously we didn't had a chance to get to it. This list is the 10 great TV shows with the worst season finales. I guess season finales, series finales.
Series finale, yeah. Okay.
So it's titled season finales, but I guess they messed up.
Right.
So I want to ask you a few different big TV series that you liked that you had some problems with the series finales. Because then I'll go through the top 10 and we'll see if they're in there.
All right. I definitely I know for a fact some of these have to be on this list.
Okay.
Number 1, Game of Thrones, for sure.
Okay. So Game of Thrones on this list is number 2.
Okay. And these are ranked. So
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So because Game of Thrones, we all know, I mean, we all watched it. Garbage, end of the show. Great show for a long time, and then it got really, really bad towards the end. We all know why. We don't need to get into it, but yeah, definitely that's got to be high on the list. Yep. Another one, people really dislike the Sopranos finale. I feel like that might be on the list.
Sopranos, I think I did see it on here. Sorry, I had to scroll through it a little bit. The Sopranos list. So I'm not trying to say it out loud. No, not there. It is not. It is not.
Interesting. Okay, because I feel like they would be like an honorable mention situation because people don't like the finale of that one. So okay. Another one. How I Met Your Mother.
Yes, that is on the list. It is number 6. Number 6. 2005 to 2014.
Awful series finale there for sure. They had this like one main storyline throughout the whole thing, and then like at the very end they like kind of change it. Like everything you think is gonna happen doesn't happen, and then they like scramble to change something else at the end, and you're like, what the F was this? It is a terrible series finale. Is Mad Men on the list? I think some people. Okay. Lost. I feel like Lost would be on the list.
Lost is numero uno.
Okay.
Now, I remember watching Lost, and I feel like after like the first season or two, where they had the bunker, and then all of a sudden, like this guy's punching in numbers, and then all this different type of stuff.
It kind of loses you at a certain point.
Yeah, you're like, what the hell is happening right now?
They got too complicated. It was like everything was kind of like, all right, everything's kind of making sense, and then they start bringing in like other timelines, and it's other universes, and you're just like, what the F is happening?
There's like a monster or something.
The monster, the smoke monster or whatever. It was like,
wasn't it a polar bear or something?
Yeah, and then it was so. No, Lost definitely like lost me. Like at a certain point, you're definitely like, this show is getting bad. So Lost, okay, that makes sense.
Was that Kate Beckinsale on there? Was that her, or that was a different person?
No, but I think you're right that I think it's a Kate something. I don't think it's Beckinsale though. I think it's
she's hotter.
Right. It's somebody like that though. God, what would be another series finale that people
they're going to start getting a little...
Oh, I know. Okay, Dexter.
Yes,
yeah,
Dexter is number 4. Well, it says Dexter and Dexter New Blood, so both of them.
Right, okay, because, the Dexter finale, awful. And again, I'm trying to like avoid spoiling things in case people haven't seen these, but
dude, let's be honest here. Dexter was 2013.
I know you should have seen Dexter, but like he freaking like kills his sister at the end. You're like, what the hell's going on here? It was very weird, terrible ending to that one.
Yeah,
and then they brought Dexter back. Yeah, like there's like a new season of Dexter.
2021, so it's been going on. I guess
I haven't watched it because I'm like I have no interest in the new. But like Dexter itself, another pretty solid show for a while, and then it gets bad towards the end. What could Seinfeld? Seinfeld's a pretty controversial series finale.
No, not on there.
All right, okay.
All of these shows, by the way, are from 2000 and above.
Okay, got it. That's good to know because they're definitely.
So it's not gonna be like MASH or whatever the
man. What else?
What's the lady that the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Oh yeah, like Mary Tyler Moore, Dick Van Dyke, like all those ones. Yeah.
Apparently Dick Van Dyke is still driving. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know how that guy's still alive.
That guy's like dancing. There was like a
he's
video
like
of him,
97 years old.
I know, he's living the dream. What else would be on this list? I'll let you know.
What was the show he was in though? With it was like the little witch. It was like the witch that like wiggles her nose.
Oh, it's not I Dream of Jeannie, right?
It's I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh, okay.
Not Jeannie. Jeannie.
Yeah, I Dream of Jimmy. What else? What else would be on this list?
All right,
I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I'm tapping.
Coach Taylor is in one of the shows.
Oh, Friday Night Lights, you're saying, is on this list?
No. Coach Taylor, like that guy's name. The actor.
Oh. He was in other shows? What other shows?
The show ran for 3 years.
I don't know. What's the name of it.
Bloodline is number 10.
Never saw it. Never saw Bloodline.
I think I saw like maybe one or two
We're probably
episodes.
getting to some of these shows that I just have not seen.
Right. That's why I knew you were going to be tapped out. So
yeah.
I mean,
so
I don't think you would have got these.
What's number 9?
9, Pretty Little Liars,
right,
2010 to 2017. Yeah, exactly. Let's be honest here.
Gossip Girl?
Is
that on the list? Gossip Girl? Was that a bad for that
Number 8.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but I'm just guessing. Okay.
Yes, 2007
right.
2012.
All right.
Which I think, isn't there what's the lady's name in there? There's Gossip Girl's
Well, Blake Lively was in it.
No, the mom. I think the mom was in there. Or what's that? Maybe that's a different show. My mom hates that lady. Anyways, so whatever her name is, I forgot.
Mom from Gossip Girl.
Yeah. So 7, Supernatural.
I never saw that.
So there's two guys, and it's like something like Sabrina.
And I feel like that's a show that also went like forever. I feel like there's like 12 seasons or something.
15 years.
That's crazy. See, that's
God. I was in high school when this came out.
That's too much. I mean, I'm watching ER for the first time. There's 15 seasons. I'm on season 8. And each season's like 23 episodes. I'm like, This is going to take me all year to finish this show. It's crazy.
Then How I Met Your Mother is number 6. Then moving on to 5, Scrubs.
Okay.
Scrubs.
Yeah, the last season of Scrubs was awful. It's one of those weird shows where the second to last season, like when you thought the show was going to end, they had like a finale type episode and it kind of wrapped everything up and it was like emotional. It was like, all right, the show's over. And then they come out with another season, and it was like all new characters. Like Dave Franco was in it. There was like a couple other people, and it was like here's a whole new cast basically. And like Zach Braff was still in it, and so was not Donald Glover, Donald the other guy from Scrubs, and like so they Donald Faison, I think. Anyways, they both were in it still, but like all these new people came in and they were like the teachers of the hospital for this new cast. They did one season and then the show was definitely done after that. So it was so bad. Scrubs fans like to forget that I think technically it's season 9. I think it was. See, the Scrubs fans want to say like season 9 never existed basically because it's so bad. So that makes sense that it would be on the list.
So the last one is number 3 at Sherlock, which was Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't remember. Maybe I never finished it. I've definitely seen a couple seasons of it. I never got to the final episode, I guess, because I don't remember any sort of series finale with that one.
Yeah,
I guess people didn't like it.
Sure. But yeah, that's the thing is like some of these shows. I mean, you go back to Game of Thrones, obviously. Game of Thrones was such a letdown because I seriously remember watching the last season every single Sunday when it came out because you had someone's password and you're sitting there and you're like, all right, I can log on to HBO and watch it with everybody else. But the problem is that everyone was so disappointed because the episodes were like an hour and a half long, if I recall, but then they were an hour and a half long. So you kept, I mean, for me, I kept watching the clock to make sure that I had more time in the episode because you knew other stuff should be happening.
Right.
But all of a sudden they're sitting there having a conversation by that tree for like 27 minutes. And you're like, all right, well, that was half the episode. They're just talking at the tree. And then all of a sudden the battle was like 10 minutes.
And then
and
I remember like it was also shot very dark. Like you couldn't see anything. Like that was the big controversy. And remember the creators came out and was like, well, people aren't setting their TVs right to watch your show. It's like, I shouldn't have to change the settings on my TV to watch your stupid show. And then like, meanwhile, they're leaving Starbucks cups in certain shots or whatever. Remember that was like a thing. Yeah. They just screwed it up. They screwed it up so bad. And like the funniest thing is going back and watching the videos. Like there was a super viral video of them doing like the script reading around the table. And like you could tell, like before, how the actors will do that, and you could tell like some of the people there were kind of like, really, like especially when they were reading the scene where Arya like does the kill at the end and stuff, and you could tell people were kind of like, whoa, like that's kind of a weird choice. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it was
John's about to get blown to bits, and all of a sudden the dragon just explodes.
Yeah, it was rough, man. I mean, and that show had obviously some amazing moments. Now, look, like obviously I came into it late. You definitely had watched it before I had. I caught up at the end, so like I was experiencing things like the Red Wedding and things like that, not like live like everybody else did. It was like I was watching it, later, but like stuff like that.
I think I started watching live. I think I watched live like when it was released, the very last season,
right?
But like season I don't know, maybe 5 through 7, I watched like on demand.
Yeah,
and all the other ones were like really late.
Right. Yeah. So it was like, but it was one of those shows that was like a big cultural thing at the time. Like it was. I mean, everybody was talking about Game of Thrones, and everybody was talking about like how bad that last season was. And it was one of those things where like as the season was progressing, everyone's like, well, there's got to be something crazy is going to happen to make this season good, right? Like everyone like kept holding out hope, and then it was just like, no, they just literally ran out of ideas and ran out of time, and they like had to rush this last season, and they couldn't really they were working off of their own material instead of the books anymore because there was no books to work with, and like it was just a disaster. It was. Well,
they also said
so
that the two directors obviously got the Star Wars gig, so they were like, all right, well, we'll go do the Star Wars bit. But that was the problem, is that I don't think there was not enough content. I just believe that in all senses of reality, when you're looking at the show, they were just like, and we've been doing this for so long, like let's get the hell out of here. Let's get out of Dodge, because you could have easily broke that off into different pieces and done different things. But I mean, Jamie and Cersei like run off together, and then all of a sudden, like Daenerys just blows up the entire King's Landing, and then just like dies, and then it's like, well, you're just like, what the hell is going on? Like, everything is happening in like an episode and a half, maybe span, where you're just like, I guess we're gonna know all these people's fates like in a matter of 45 minutes. It's crazy.
When Game of Thrones was good, it was so good.
Oh yeah,
like, some of those moments, like again, like Red Wedding, for example, was like one of the first, like not the first time, but it was one of the few times in TV where I've actually been like, oh my effing god,
right?
Like this is insane. Like what's happening right now, and then like obviously like. Whatever that one episode where John is like fighting like the whole like undead army type stuff, like when he's like fighting the walkers, like whatever
about the one that
was called like the Wall, or like
I think the one you're talking about is when they were on the ice, and they were on that.
I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the one where there was I mean obviously there was a few different battles. It was it was start with like Hell something. God, now I gotta like look this up.
I don't know the titles, but I can
and then
tell
like
easily.
The Peter. I mean, obviously, like that trial of Peter Dinklage's character was like a Hard Home. That episode, it was in season 5, episode 8, where where they like arrive north of the. I don't know, but anyways, there was a few episodes where you're just like,
oh yeah.
This is insane. Like the one where they blew up with the green like explosion thing or whatever, where they got all the maesters and all those people.
That was the Battle of the Blackwater.
And like the guys, like there was some incredible moments in that show. So that's where it sucks, where that type of show is so good for so long, and then they screw it up at the end.
Well, you think about it, like there were so many twists and turns. Like, I mean, obviously you have the when Oberon like gets his skull like crushed,
his freaking eyes, like Pedro Pascal, gets his eyes like,
oh my god, that just makes me sick.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at Marcia or whatever the girl's name was, the daughter who like gets poisoned and stuff like that. Like you have to think about like all the different things that happened during the show where the girl from Dorne and then her daughter or whatever get locked in that cell, and then all of a sudden it's like, what happened to them? I guess they're just sitting there rotting in the cell.
That was the thing. There were so many unanswered questions or like storylines, and then like the whole Bran being the true chosen guy or whatever. It was just like, this is so stupid.
What about when they went to the city of Karth? and all of a sudden, like they locked that big guy, and
Oh,
then the,
right.
the girl that was sleeping with him that was supposed to be Danny's like right hand woman, and they
Right.
locked him in the freaking tomb thing, and I'm
Yeah.
like. All these, I mean, it's like, what a way to die. Like, you're just sitting there, like, you're like, there's no way out. And I know I'm going to starve to death. And I like, either I'm going to eat this guy or, like,
Or
what?
he's eating me. Yeah. No, yeah. No,
It's some crazy stuff, man.
it's a wild show. It was so wild, but it just shows you how like TV they can really screw up. And I'd say, speaking of that, another show we wanted to talk about just briefly on this one was, I know it's been a few weeks, but Mike and I are both fans of the Love Is Blind series. And obviously, that series finale was a cultural phenomenon. As
My God.
it was not even really the finale. It was like the live discussion or whatever they call it, where they have the reunion. That's what it was, the reunion special. And like, so obviously, again, it's been a few weeks. We've had some time to marinate in it, but I mean, first off, one of the craziest situations I've ever been in, where you have. So for those, I mean, unless you're under a rock, you got to remember what happened. But like, basically, it was scheduled to go on at a certain time, and it did not go on until over an hour later, which was unheard. I mean, this was a live thing. It was going to be live on Netflix. They had done, this wasn't the first live event they've done. They had just done Chris Rock's live comedy special like a week before, and that went out fine. So it's not like the technology wasn't there, but it was supposed to be live at 7 or 8 or whatever. Whatever. I think it was 8. It was supposed to be live at 8.
Yeah. Yep.
And it didn't get started till like 9:20 or 9:15. And that was insane, because you're sitting there, you're like, what else am I supposed to do? Because you're like, I don't want to miss it. But also it's like, I don't want to just sit here staring at like a blank screen for an hour. And you just keep thinking like, there's no way it's going to take longer than this, right? And it just keeps going. That was insanity, being like handcuffed to your chair, waiting for the freaking show to start.
And the thing about it is that you sat there and you're like, all right, when are they going to come on? And, all right, okay, a few minutes. And they were like, oh, it's worth the wait. It's going to be on at 8:17. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, well, it's 8:26 and it's still not on. And then all of a sudden they kept saying like, it's worth the wait. They kept tweeting that out.
Yeah, they were Netflix was being kind of like cheeky about it. They were like, yeah, they'd be like, oh yeah, like you said, like, it's gonna be worth the wait. Like, hang in there, guys. We're getting things ready to go. And that was one of those are the moments though where you love Twitter. Where like there's nothing else you can get like that for that situation. There's no other platform. There's nothing else that can equal society dealing with the situation at the same time on Twitter. Because like the memes were flying, the funny tweets were flying. Everybody was just, that is when Twitter honestly is at its best in those types of moments. Because the jokes that are being had at Netflix's expense are just the best. I mean, that's when you realize like, God, the internet can be so freaking funny sometimes, dude.
Yeah. And the best part about it is that literally when you see them put on people from like last season on like TikTok Live or something like that, and they're from the Netflix account, and they're like, and I forgot what her name was. It was like Gabby or whoever was with Bartise. No, Natalie or something. Like, what the hell was her name? Whatever her name was, the person that got dumped by Bartise.
Yeah,
and she
Nancy.
was Nancy. That's right. Yeah, Nancy Grace. And and she was on there, and then she was like, all right, you guys can ask me any question you want, just write it in the chat. And she sits there and she literally says like the answer to one question. And apparently she didn't like the question, because it was like something about like, hey, are you dating somebody? And of course, apparently she's not, because she was like, yeah, I'm dating, like, okay, so you're not, so then basically she was like, I got time for one more question. And it was like, you just said that people can ask all these questions because you're waiting. She's like, oh, well, I can ask one more question. We'll do. And then she's like, all right, well, let's go and look at all these people and stuff like that. And it's like so freaking
Some
weird.
Of those people are the most annoying people on the planet.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable.
That's why we love to watch it, because it's like you're just like,
it was COVID TV.
It was ideal for that. Where it literally like it's one of those shows where you love to hate these people, because you're just like, what kind of reality are you living in? Like, these people are just like unbelievable. The funniest thing about the show to me though is every season, like, like this whole idea is like, okay, you're falling in love with people without seeing them. It's like, but yet every single person on the show is like good looking. So it's like, if you really want to make it happen, you need a 400-pound dude who's just got like a really good voice, like a really hot voice.
Yeah.
But he's like 400 pounds.
Hey,
and
how's it going?
now that's an experiment.
My name
when
is Brad.
you know, when they're standing in front of the door before they're about to open, and you just see the shadow of the person. For him, like he'd be filling up the whole space.
They needed a Michelin Man out there.
That would be that's what I would watch, because otherwise it's like every season it's like, oh great, like yeah, you're all good looking, like you know what, like okay, but even, the funny thing is like they'll all be like, you know, hot, they'll all be good looking, and then like they'll still be like, yeah, that person's not my type. It's like, are you insane? Like this girl's a supermodel, and you're like, yeah, I could do
feeling
better.
it. Yeah,
I could do better.
Well, that's the best part about this season is that we had some. Now, I would say it's getting better because I believe that the writers on this show are actually starting to look at this as this should be more entertaining, because it just can't be the same thing over and over and over.
Right. You got to change it up. Yeah,
because you look at it and say, the first season they had that weird scientist guy that just bowed down to that girl every 2 seconds.
Right.
Everyone's like, oh, they're so cute. I hated them. I think they were so annoying. But then you look at it and say that the next season was a little bit better. Then the next season, one more breakup and all that kind of stuff. But then this season, obviously, you look at it and say, well, that one girl, what was her name? The girl that was with Zach.
Oh, God, what was her name?
So
you're not saying the one he ended up with? So
no,
not Bliss.
It's not Bliss. It was the other one. Like it wasn't.
It was like some sort of Russian name, wasn't it, or something?
I forgot. Yeah, look it up real quick. So, the person that we're about to talk about,
Irina.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was something. I knew it was something.
Oh my god,
she is a nut job. Now she comes out there, and you could tell that she was like, "Hey," and he was like, "Hey." Like, you know, that guy's really weird. Don't get me wrong. That guy's a weirdo.
That guy is one of the strangest people they've ever had on the show.
Yeah, and the weird part about it is that like you can obviously see that he's the type of person that would be weird on the show. And that's the type of person that we want to see on the show, because everyone's like, why does the people like this guy? Like, this guy literally looks like a guy from like Futurama or something like that. Like which is true. Irina did say cartoon character. But the thing about it is that he's like, oh yeah, I'm a lawyer or something like that, blah, 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 blah. And my mom was a stripper and this and that and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, like, she comes out and she's like, "You're a cartoon character," and then all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, I guess so." And all of a sudden, like, then she's like, "Why are you staring at me?" He's like, "I'm not staring at you."
It's like, so look, weird. Like that girl obviously was like clearly a terrible person, but at the same time, that guy was a effing weirdo. Like that dude,
she spoke some facts.
It's like, yeah, like she was like she was clearly just like a terrible human being.
Right.
But like that dude, yeah, that guy. I mean. For those who haven't seen the show, just like, again, it's the idea is you go into these pods where it's like, all right, you're basically going on blind dates with people, literally blind. You're not seeing them, you're just talking to them, and they're just trying to like put a bunch of people in there, and then hopefully some people, you know, propose to each other, and then they follow you for another like 4 weeks, and then you decide, all right, are we going to get married or not? And yeah, with this season for sure had just some weird moments, man. Some of these people are just like, you're just like, are you really doing this on national television? Like, for example, that Zach guy, like his singing, like he would just like,
oh my god,
he'd like made songs.
I wrote a
like,
song for you.
I would like start sweating just watching it, because I'd be like, this is so cringe. This is like so embarrassing, because like he wasn't a good singer either. He was like a terrible singer, and so was that other guy. There was like multiple guys just like singing to girls. It's like, if you're gonna sing on a show that's going on national television, like you better be freaking good, or you better be like, editors, please take that out, because like, it was awful.
And the other guy gets the guitar
out. It's out of tune, and like
you're
like barely playing. And meanwhile, the girl's like, he's such a musician, like it's unbelievable.
God, it's giving me the feels. Like he's giving me the feels. He sang like 2 lines
with an out of tune guitar. It was like, it was so bad. No, and then like the reunion itself was a wild, like, hot mess. I mean, you have Vanessa Lachey, who's got to be one of the worst hosts.
So terrible.
A reunion show that ever in history. Like, there's no way there's been a worse host performance than that, because Vanessa Lachey was.
They got some backlash about it too, by the way.
Yeah, and people, because this woman Vanessa Lachey was going around like pressuring these women, being like, "So are you guys gonna get pregnant? Are you gonna get pregnant?" Like it's like, you're not supposed to be freaking asking that. Like just as a regular person, you're not really.
Did you
supposed to
bone
be
last night?
doing that? And like she was like literally like, "All right, what's the timetable? When are you guys getting pregnant?" And like
Right.
it's like that's so much pressure to put on these people. And then like she was making weird jokes, and she was taking the sides of like the worst people on the show, like the
Right.
Jackie girl who was like awful, and like it's just so bizarre, which is why we love it, because it's just so weird to
well, that's the
watch.
thing, is that Vanessa Lachey apparently was getting all this backlash. Now I don't think Nick was getting that much backlash,
No.
but you look at her, and I found out like a couple days after the show aired that apparently, now I wasn't really paying attention to that. I was more so looking forward to the other parts, but they said that she was talking about her relationship so much and all this kind of stuff, which no one gives a crap about.
Yeah.
But then like you just mentioned, she was giving like the weirdest takes. Like she was interviewing Jackie, and everyone was like, "All right, hopefully she asked these
It's
questions."
a chance for you to go in on this girl who won't even show up to this thing because she knows how stupid she's been, and
Right.
like she knows if she shows up, she's gonna get like grilled, and like you had a chance to grill her. And like, look, I understand there's some tact to that, because like if you grill them right off the bat, they'll just be like, all right, I'm not doing this. But like Vanessa Lachey gave them the most softball questions in the world.
Right. And that's why Andy Cohen is so good at these reunion shows. Like, I mean, I don't know if he does Below Deck reunion shows, but I know he does like Southern Charm reunion shows, stuff like that. And I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but Southern Charm is awesome. Is a great show as well. And like, he'll be like, "So did you guys screw or not?" Like, it's like, he'll sit there and just ask you a question like that. But like for Jackie, Vanessa was like, "So are you guys happy?" Like, it's like, no one cares about that.
I really wish we need to be the hosts of the reunion show, man. Because like
me and you just sitting on the couch.
I think about that all the time, because like, there's another guy that does a great job. Kevin Frazier from Entertainment Tonight does some of the reunion stuff for like Married at First Sight, which is a show that I watch, and there's some other stuff, and like there's an art to that where like you're respectful, but you're also like, because I think the role of the host, in my eyes, is like to be representation for the audience themselves, where it's like, hey, the audience doesn't have a chance to ask these people these questions or to talk about this. So you as the host, your duty, just like they say, like a journalist's job is to like, be representation for the people, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, it's the same thing where it's like, this is you represent us. You should be asking the questions that we all want to know the answers to, and like not back down and not let people wiggle out of stuff, and like Vanessa Lachey and Nick Lachey are not going to be able to do that, man. They're like,
you think
big
about
goobs.
Also, big goobs. I never heard someone call it goob.
They're goobs.
Big old goobs. That's the thing, is like, you think about it, they have to be in our shoes where, yes, they're working and they're doing stuff too, but you watch the show that you're going to host a reunion.
Yeah.
You watch it.
They've seen it all.
You have your own opinions about the show. Like, obviously when Jackie's being a D-bag and to Marshall, and all of a sudden you're looking at him like, why is she doing this? And like, why is she attracted to cauliflower ear? And then that guy was that guy. You want to be get someone to throw up against a wall. That guy's gonna do it. That guy might throw you
like a psycho.
He might throw you through the wall.
There's no chance that any of these people are gonna still be together, like in like a year from now.
What's the best part is that, like, you look at Irina and stuff like that, and you go back and like, I think they kind of let her off the hook just a little bit, because you could have said like, what are you really on here for? Because we all know it wasn't for this, because you were trying to steal Bliss's thunder and stuff like that. Not to mention, again, we talk about Zach. I mean, we're just gonna pile on Zach because that guy is the biggest weirdo ever. I think Bliss is a good person.
One of the weirdest people to be on the show, for sure.
But look at it. Okay. This guy has his weirdest story. He's crying every episode on the couch, and then he's wearing some weird shoes, and then all of a sudden he's singing and all that kind of crap. And then all of a sudden, when you go into a meeting with somebody's parents, get some intel. I mean, he goes into this little lunch or dinner or whatever it is with Bliss's dad,
right?
And then he looks at him and says, "So, you like fishing because you're from this area?" And he's like, "Nope, never cast a reel in my life," or whatever. And then all of a sudden he's like, "So, you like sports?" And he's like, Nope, not really into sports. And he's like, "Oh, so you're not a sport guy?" And he's like, "But you know what I really love? I really love early childhood law." And then he starts going to like a law story, and the guy's like looking at him like, this guy's a loser. Like, this guy sucks.
I mean, that's like dating 101. It's like if you're gonna meet the parents, you know, you got to get some intel. It's like, all right, what is your dad like? What are your mom like? Like
Exactly.
what type of things do they like? And it's like you don't have to necessarily like those same things, but you need to know the general realm so that way you can be prepared and be like, all right, yeah, I know they're interested in this, so I'm going to talk about this. You know, like you don't have to pretend like, oh yeah, I'm great at sports if you're not, because then you're definitely going to get caught. Zach, like if Zach had been like, oh yeah, I know a lot about football, and then the dad asks him like one question, he probably would have gotten it wrong. So it's like you don't lie, but you also, yeah, it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like,
What'd you think of that Russell Wilson trade?
yeah, it's like
Very
all he had to
cool.
do was be like, yeah, I'm not really that into sports, but like I'm always looking to, you know, for new things or whatever, or being like, what team do you like, and then like, you know, there's stuff that he could have handled it instead of just being like, no, I don't really like sports. It's like, all right, that's fine. You don't have to love sports, but like give the guy something to go off of instead of talking about your stupid law stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
going back to the situation that you look at when they come back to the apartments. Now, the thing that really irritates me the most is when people say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go see your place," and all of a sudden, like, you know, the Kwame guy, that guy irritated me. Like the
Yeah.
guy's like, "Yeah, you know, I like doing this, I like doing that." He's all dressed up and stuff like that. And you go back to his place, and he's like, "I sleep on the couch every night."
Yeah.
and you're like, "What?" And
He's
like, "I don't
like
use
a
my bed."
19-year-old, like basically, like he was living like a 19-year-old. He had like, here's my couch that I sleep on, and he's like playing video games every episode. So it's
Yeah,
like,
he literally had like lotion and like tissues and all this weird stuff that was like on the coffee, like his toothbrush. It's like, dude, like what are you doing?
nothing
Like,
beats that guy. I don't know if you watched last season, but remember when they went back to that guy Cole's apartment and he had like pee still in the toilet? And
I do remember
it
that.
had been there for like weeks, and it was
Yeah,
like,
wasn't that the guy who was like demeaning towards the girl for the tangerine
where
or
they
something
like
like that?
said he was, and then Netflix like showed the footage to prove
Yeah.
that he wasn't.
Yeah,
and
he
he was like
wasn't.
completely fine. Yeah, that guy. See, that would be the word. The problem is you're like, but that's the thing. It's like if you sign up for the show, it's like clean up your place before you freaking
Right.
leave for the pods. Because
Yeah.
if you get picked, they're coming back to your apartment after like vacation or whatever. Because like that guy literally was like, yeah,
Did
I
he
had-
open his fridge and have like nothing in there?
yeah. It was like, dude, like I don't
He had, like,
understand.
butter. That's
Yeah,
like all he had.
That's the thing. It's like if you're gonna be on any of these shows, it's like clean up your place, like make sure everything looks normal because TV crews might be showing up at your freaking front door.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Like that guy literally had like pee in the toilet for weeks. Like literally, that's what
Yeah,
it was.
that is so
It was
gross.
disgusting.
I'm surprised
So
they didn't show
bad.
the reaction where he sat there. What was that guy's name? I'm forgetting the name now. That was with Micah. Who was the guy that ended up with Micah?
Oh,
Or not?
Paul?
Paul. That's right. Now
Yeah.
that guy was a loser. I thought that
Yeah.
guy was a big. I mean, that guy looked like a Barbie doll that was sold from Five Below. You know, it's like that guy just literally. I mean, you go into his place and Micah's sitting there and she's like, he's like, "Do you like my couch?" And she's like, "Yeah, I guess it's okay." He's like, "It was free."
Oh,
And
yeah.
and she was like,
He was very proud of the fact that he spent like no money. on
$5.
anything.
He spent $5 on 2 couches.
Meanwhile, the
Hey,
guy's a freaking like scientist, so he probably brings in like
oh, he's a
you know,
plant
200
scientist,
Yeah, but still, he probably makes some good money. Like he's
botanist.
yeah, but I mean, still, he's got to be making decent cash, and he like barely has anything in his place, and it's all free. And wasn't he like this one was free, and he's like this one I got off the side of the road. Or something.
Yeah. He said this one was free because I found it by a dumpster.
Yeah.
and then this other one I got for $5 off of like eBay.
And it's like it made it to seem like that Micah girl was like pretentious or something, but it's like no, she just doesn't want to sleep on. She's like 35 and she doesn't want to sleep on a couch that or
Has
she
bugs in
doesn't
it.
want to sit on a couch that was next to a dumpster.
It
Like
had a bird's nest.
you
in it.
reach a certain age where it's like, all right, like just spend the freaking money on the furniture, like I understand every now and then you find a good deal on Facebook Marketplace, but like there's some stuff where it's like, all right, you're going to be married to this person. Like she doesn't want to sleep on a free couch from the side of 95. Like that's just not, she's not into that.
Well, it was awesome because like the one thing about this season was like there was like so many little tidbits that you had to really watch and listen for.
Yeah.
Because like for instance like that because then she was like, yeah, I think we should move to Phoenix or get a bigger place here, and he was like, well, I kind of like my place, and then all of a sudden she was like, you have no room for anything of mine.
Yeah, there's no chance two people can live in this place.
Yeah, like she was like, there's one closet that has, one small rack, and you have like 7 shirts that are all beach shirts. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, I don't really want to move to Phoenix where you have 2 places. I don't know how she has 2 homes. And then all of a sudden he's like, no, I think we should both move here. And they're like, so where do you guys think you're going to live? And then he's like, yeah, we're probably definitely going to be living here and stuff like that. And she's like, this guy fucking blows.
That's the whole. It's all right. It's all right. I think the big thing is like the people that go on these shows. There's a reason why they're on these shows because it's like it's either for clout or because they're so like they can't they can't see themselves. Like they can't like. There's no like self-recognition of their craziness where they're living in a different reality basically from the rest of us. Like that's where a lot of them are.
So I'm on variety.com and I'm looking at some of the people, and I didn't look at this before, but it says key to this person or key to future partner. And for Paul, it says key to his heart, finding happiness in small things. So in small dollar amounts, he found $5 worth of 2 couches. Right.
Because that was his whole thing. Like he made it seem like this girl was like, like materialistic or something like that. It's like, no, she just, she's like, 35 something and like just wants to like spend money because she's an adult. Like it was like, I don't know. There's some people on that show. It blows my mind. But it's so entertaining. If you have never seen the show, I'm telling you, it's worth a watch because look, it's not necessarily great television. Like it's not going to be like the best show in the world that you watch, but it just makes you realize like, oh man, I'm a normal person. Like you watch the show and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I am like a normal, nice person because the people on this show are insane. It's insane.
You know what we should do for next season, prior to the season showing up or whatever, we should go through this because it says every single person that's on the show, and we should go through their age, their career, and see if and say yes. We should be the yes or no men.
All right. Well, we can do that. So for season 5, is it season 5? Is the next season of the show?
Season 5.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for season 5 of Love Is Blind. Before we wrap up this episode today, we did want to do a little Mike's Trivia Corner because it's always a fan friendly. Play at home.
Oh yeah.
For Mike's Trivia Corner as he gives us his trivia question of the week.
So I will say real quick that obviously the talk will be more fluid with, I guess you could say, posts for the most part. Obviously, getting home so damn late.
Let's let baseball season end first, There's too much going on.
Yeah. So we got 2 more weeks. Anyways, here we go. So speaking of baseball,
right?
DC Sports Trivia question of the week. Now, Ben, I need you to take your time on this because I feel like you're going to know it really quickly.
Okay.
But if you don't, I'm going to reword this just for you because it might be too easy.
So I might be a moron. All right, here we go.
In 2016,
okay, good
which Washington infielder won the NL Silver Slugger Award? I took out a few words in there.
Okay. 2016 NL Silver Slugger, and it's an infielder. So my initial gut reaction is I feel like there are 2 guys on my mind that would be candidates for this, especially if we're talking infield. So the 2 guys on my mind are Trey Turner and Anthony Rendon. Now I don't remember because I was trying to think like, did Rendon not have his breakout though till more like 2017 or 2018?
Now I can give you the full situation here because I didn't want to give it away right away.
Sure, that's fine. And it's really for the people at home too. So
in 2016, his first season in Washington, who won the NL Silver Slugger Award at second base?
Oh, okay. So it's not even
that's why
not even the left side of the infield. Okay. So it was his first season. God, why is my mind going blank right now? Why can't I remember Washington Nationals second baseman? And it would have been his first season there. So it was, presumably he would have been traded. Oh my God. I mean, again, people at home, this is for you because my mind is going blank.
You know it.
I mean, I know it. I know the guy.
You might not know it.
So this was, obviously, can't remember if this was one of the seasons that they went to the playoffs or they didn't go to the playoffs. Because they had that
question.
They had that weird. Okay, so I guess but I'm not going to ask that because I was going to say, like, was he on the World Series team? But I feel like the answer is no, because, like, I don't think that would be the case. But I guess I'll just ask it. Was he on the 2019 World Series team?
No.
Okay. Silver Slugger, second baseman. I mean, that's probably too late for, like, Dan Ugla. he was probably there earlier.
I haven't heard that name in years.
Remember him? He like cut his like
for the
sleeves,
Marlins,
like
didn't
they
he?
were so short. His sleeves were like so short they were like cutting into his arms. It was like insane. Man, this is embarrassing but my mind is, going blank. I know it was 8 years ago or 7 years.
I believe he left the team in 2018. I believe.
So like the year before. So like around when Bryce was.
He's
gone,
retired.
too. He's retired now. He left around the time Bryce did. Gave us so he gave the Nats like 3 seasons worth, including a Silver Slugger season. Man, my mind's blank. I don't have it. This one for sure. All right, give it to me.
Daniel Murphy.
Oh, okay, yeah. He did have that one really solid year, and then I feel like the rest was just okay. But he was like a Mets killer, like because obviously he came over from there,
Mets,
and then he like he'd hit home runs like every time.
Well, he had that postseason with the Mets where he hit like 5 straight games of home runs.
It like parlayed into his next season where he like continued staying hot. So that would have been the Silver Slugger year, yeah. And then I feel like after that, he was never as good as he was when he first came.
Well, I think he was only with us for like 3 seasons.
Yeah, and I feel like the first season was the best of the 3 in my eyes. Obviously, he won a Silver Slugger, but like
because they wanted to switch him to first base or something like that.
Right.
And it just was done.
That's that weird part of Nats history, that like pre-World Series team, but post like those other like playoff team, like the Ian Desmond years and things like that, like post that, where there's that weird like middle ground where it's like, all right, like Trey Turner's playing center field for a bit, and like
I'm trying to figure out who. Oh, here, let's real fast figure out the starting lineup for the Nats for the World Series. So they had catcher. You had
Wilson Ramos.
Okay,
right?
First base is Ryan Zimmerman.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't figure out who second base was.
Well, they had Dozier, and he must have split time with like.
Brian Dozier. Was he on the team then?
Yeah. Because he was shirtless all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that's probably why I didn't know he was on the team.
So he might have split time with like Defoe or stuff like that. Like, wasn't Defoe still on the team too? Yeah.
And then you had Trey at short.
Right,
Rondon. Left was. Center was Robles.
Yeah.
Left was Soto.
Soto was left, and
then right was was right Soto. Was he playing right at the time? Because that was the year that he replaced Harper.
Right. I can't remember. Let's see.
Who was playing left?
All right, let me look at the box score here for Game 1.
I kind of feel like who the hell was it?
Oh, how could you forget our boy Adam Eaton was in right. Soto was in left, I believe.
Okay, they switched him because Adam Eaton became a bum apparently.
God, yeah, Adam Eaton. That was a guy who was like
he went back to the White Sox, didn't he?
Yeah, and then now he's done. But like he was a guy who was like very hit or miss for this team. Literally, like there were times where you're like you'd like to have him because he was kind of like a old school type guy.
But then his first season, he only played like 9 games, and he like hyperextended his leg or something.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Was like, he was hurt for a long. Because I remember on like Nats Winterfest or whatever, I took a picture with him and I asked him like, "How's the knee feeling?" And he's like, "Doing good. It's doing good."
I'm
sure you're going to tell me. I'm sure he's going to be
buddy.
like, "To be honest, it's actually I'm having a setback." So it just tells me.
To be honest, I'm retiring tomorrow.
Yeah. So Adam Eaton. Yeah, that's a guy you forget sometimes for that World Series team because like. Yeah, it's not necessarily a guy that will be in Nats lore forever or anything like that.
Well, the funny thing is like I reference, Steve Lombardozzi and Danny Espinoza and all these guys all the time, but I can't think. I mean, Wilmer Defoe was on that team. I can't think of like the other backups. because like if you think about it, like
Also, I said Wilson Ramos, and I knew I was wrong when I said it because I was like, I don't think he was on that team either. No, that was the Kurt Suzuki and Jan Gomes duo
yes,
for that. Yeah,
Wilson
I was about to say, I was like,
Ramos.
Ramos was gone. Ramos was in. I know he went to Tampa for a hot second, and then he was in New York. He was a Met.
Yeah,
for
he
a
was.
bit.
I think he was in Tampa first.
Yeah.
Yeah, because okay, now that makes sense now.
And then we had Matt Adams as Drupal Cabrera.
He was. Yeah, he was.
Oh, and don't forget our boy Howie Kendrick. God, it's so hard to remember these things, man. It's crazy.
It was 4 years ago now. So let's be honest here.
Yeah. And then the outfield had Eaton, Gerardo Parra, Robles, Soto, Andrew Stevenson, and Michael A. Taylor, who's still kicking. He's still around in the league. Michael A. Taylor.
Where's he at?
I just saw him play the other day. He's like the starting center fielder for. I feel like the Tigers were playing him.
Was he with the Giants?
Michael A. Taylor. He's on the Twins.
Let me guess. In his 4 at-bats, he hit a home run, then struck out 3 times.
Right. I mean, it's crazy to think like, yeah, he's been in the league for 10 years now. So right now for the Twins, he's batting .244. I mean,
you know who I miss? I miss Michael Morse.
Yeah, that big
guy,
donkey.
Man.
I mean, he's not a donkey. Adam Dunn was big donkey, but like Michael Morse was just like you could tell there's some people that you can look at and be like, oh, you're stupid. Like you're probably really stupid. And like Michael Morse was one of those guys where you're like it seems like an awesome, fun guy.
Yeah.
Like definitely a guy you have a great time with, but like, oh yeah,
this Austin, he's riding the bull.
You're like, this guy has never read a book in his entire life. Like you can tell. And I remember they put him in the booth a few times after he retired, and he was okay. He wasn't bad when they were trying to test out that color spot before like FP got the gig, I guess. But I feel like Morse would sub in every now and then.
Right.
But yeah,
I still remember I was at well, it's a good question that we ended up forgetting the whole entire starting lineup. Apparently.
Right.
But the best part was I was at spring training when Michael Morse was still there, and I remember that we were literally standing like kind of like on this ledge kind of area. And all of a sudden, the players were walking out of the stadium. This is back in Vieira, and my gram at the time was like, "Michael!" Like, and then she like ducked behind me, and I'm sitting there like,
Michael Moore's like,
what the hell is wrong with this guy? Like, this guy is that his voice? Like, his Love Is Blind.
Yeah,
that would have been my voice. I would have been shoot off by every single one.
I mean, one of the top 10 moments in Nationals history is the phantom home run where they made Michael Morse go back and like swing without a bat and run around the bases. Like that's one of the funniest. And then he like slides into home. Like, yeah, like that guy brought some great moments. That was back when like they would play that horn. I mean, I'm sure they still do for home runs, but there was a certain time where it was like they played that like big like train horn or whatever when guys hit bombs and like that was a lot of fun when back in those days for sure. But
that horn's not really going off that much this season.
Yeah, not really blowing the horn for Lane Thomas. You know, they're not really.
Lane Thomas is batting like 7th at like 138.
Yeah, they're not really doing it that anymore. But all right, we gotta get out of here. But we appreciate those who stuck with us here today. Again, non-sports topic.
Fun.
No, this was great. We'll dive into NFL draft and S like that another time. But
hey, you can cuss. I cussed earlier.
Right, that's true. Everything's on the table now. Follow the show on Twitter at the DC Crossover and at Cerrone16, and then on TikTok DC Crossover Podcast. And yeah, we'll be targeting probably May. Even though these are basically off-season episodes, anyways, we'll be sometime around Memorial Day weekend. We'll start doing our official off-season show. So if you have any ideas for future episodes, you want to get in some drafts and things like that, I think we should bring on some guests for some drafts this summer too. Definitely just hit us up on social media. All right, that about does it, as the Nats did actually win today. Good for them. We will see you next time. This has been let me get our boy. What am I doing?
Hey, come on, dude.
Sorry, the disrespect for our wonderful friend John Z.
We got to get him on here because I want to know more about him.
There's so many questions. So many questions about him.
There's an endless amount of questions.
John Z, take us out. This has been another episode of the DC Crossover. See you, everybody.